Welcome to the road to 1 million US dollars. Let's get right into the Bitcoin chart for today, because Bitcoin is still bouncing from this big level of support sitting from 66 all the way down to 65,000 US dollars. And if you have been following my videos recently, you know that I was bearish on this move down and then actually flipped bullish right here at 65.3K. And so far, we are seeing this move play out in our favor here. Although I do want to give a fair warning signal here, because taking a look at the 4-hour time frame for Bitcoin, you can see that even though we aren't really running into any short-term resistance yet on the chart, we are, however, running into some short-term resistance on the 4-hour RSI momentum indicator. And you can see that right here. We had a first rejection from this trend line, basically setting the trend line here. And potentially we could get another rejection from that trend line once again. So personally, if I want to stay bullish here, this is something that I'm looking out for in the immediate short term. And we are going to see what will happen here over the next day or so, roughly speaking. Because if you see something like this, where we actually break this downtrend, potentially even flipping it into a level of support and then getting a resumption from there, then in my opinion, the idea that I was talking about in yesterday's video and the day before that of reaching 67.2K and even potentially reaching $70,000 become much more plausible after seeing that. So let's get to the short-term levels of support and resistance here. So I did mention this 67.2K level, which is also a Fibonacci level of resistance. And then above that, we have this big level of resistance sitting from 68.5K all the way up to 70,000 US dollars. And in terms of Fibonacci support and resistance, this is that Fibonacci level I was talking about, the 0.618 at 67.2K. And then above that, we have the 0.786 Fibonacci level at about 70.2K. And so far, since confirming this bullish divergence at about 65K here, which is whenever you have lower lows in the Bitcoin price, but higher lows in the RSI momentum indicator. And in the case that you don't know, typically a bullish divergence indicates that we are going to see a break from all of this bearish price action that we were seeing right here. And usually you'll get some choppy sideways price action or potentially even a little bit of bullish momentum over the next couple day, 2-3 days. And so far that has been playing out perfectly as expected. Although, like I said, we have to keep in mind that RSI 4-hour downtrend, because that needs to be broken in order for this uptrend to actually continue. Now, in terms of Fibonacci support, we do have this level at about 65.2K. Previously, we have held it as support, but if you see us break that price level, then the next Fibonacci level of support is sitting at 63.2K. So on the chart, that would look something like this maybe, where we also lose this 63.5K level of support. And the next big level of support below that is sitting from 62.4K all the way down to 60,000 US dollars. And I do want to make clear that I am not ruling out the possibility of us going that low, but I am just saying, as I have been saying in my recent videos, I think there is still a little bit of potential upside so long as we hold this 65K level. Because I do think on the lower timeframes here, we are just in a downtrend. So it is to be expected that we are going to continue to the downside at some point, unless we get a completely different price structure where we start making higher lows and just reversing out of this downtrend here. So for example, even if we get a move up to here and then get a rejection down, we are still just making lower highs on the 4-hour time frame. Now, another thing I wanted to share with you guys here is actually this descending channel on the 1-day time frame, because so long as we are still trading inside this range, in my opinion, Bitcoin is still just consolidating. And so long as we are still trading inside this range, I think it is completely possible that we can go to the top of the range, which right now is at 69.7K, roughly speaking. And I also think it is completely possible we go to the bottom of the range, which is sitting at 57,000 US dollars as of the time of recording. Now, when will I be flipping extremely bullish here? Well, it would actually be if you see the Bitcoin price trading out of this range. So for example, obviously this trends down a little bit over time, but let's say right here, for example, June 23rd, the level of resistance for the top of this range would be about 69.7K. So if we get a move out of here, successfully retest this as a level of support, then I will be flipping much more bullish and looking at much higher price targets for the Bitcoin price. But so long as that doesn't happen, I continue to be a little bit cautious in this market here, because already twice we saw a fake out above this descending channel. So that is why, even if we are trading above this range, I'm waiting for confirmation to see that it actually holds as a level of support and then get a bounce out of there. Now, if you are new here and have not joined the Discord community yet, I highly recommend you go check it out. You can join it for free with the first link in the description of this YouTube video. And currently we have about 800 members inside this Discord server. So it's a very active group of people that are trading crypto every single day, as well as people just sharing their crypto analysis every day. And of course, if you want to stay up to date with the crypto markets, make sure to subscribe to my channel with notifications on so you get notified whenever I upload a new video. So moving on with the Bitcoin analysis here, let's take a look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map. First of all, on this 12-hour time frame, where it becomes pretty clear that most of the liquidity is to the upside right now, sitting as high as 67.3K. Although we must be mindful that there is some liquidity to the downside as well, and this can also completely be swept, with liquidity sitting as low as about 65.6K. So now zooming out to this 1 week time frame, we can see that most of the liquidity is to the upside once again, sitting as high as 70.6K. So potentially you can see the Bitcoin price get attracted to this level as well. And since I don't think we will be reaching 70.6K today, it becomes even more important to pay attention to that CME gap to make sure that it actually has been filled or not, because that can be a big factor in actually pulling the price back down to around that 66K level. Now, one last thing with regards to the RSI momentum indicator as well, this is a bit more of a bearish signal, is actually this right here. So we have this lower high in the Bitcoin price for now, and actually this higher high in the RSI momentum indicator. And the name for this is actually a hidden bearish divergence. And typically with a bearish divergence, you will see a break from all of the bullish price action and either get some choppy sideways price action or potentially even a little bit of bearish momentum. Although I would say it is already pretty close to being invalidated. So if you see the Bitcoin price trading above 67.1K, this hidden bearish divergence is already invalidated. And one other thing to add on top of that is that a hidden bearish divergence as well as a hidden bullish divergence are typically less strong than a regular bullish or bearish divergence. So the way I see this is basically just a small warning signal in the Bitcoin price right now, indicating that if we do not get above that 67K level sometime soon, potentially we can start to see a continuation to the downside here. But like I was saying earlier, the most important thing I'm looking out for is actually seeing what happens to the RSI right here on the 4-hour time frame. So now moving on to Ethereum on this 4-hour time frame, which is still playing out this bullish divergence on the 4-hour time frame, like I said. And again, typically you will either see some choppy sideways price action or potentially even some bullish momentum, but at the very least, more likely a break from all of the bearish price action. And so far that has been playing out as expected. So what are some key levels to pay attention to right now? Well, right here you see the Fibonacci level. So we have the 0.786 Fibonacci level sitting at $4,000, which will act as a big level of resistance. So if you see the price trade up to this, it is very important to pay close attention because we can see a big rejection from there. For example, like you saw right here, where we got very close and then got a big rejection to the downside, as well as right here. Anyways, so in terms of Fibonacci support, we have this level, the 0.618 Fibonacci level sitting at 3330, and this can act as a big level of support. Although if you do see, for example, the price falling below that 0.618 Fibonacci level, it doesn't have to retest that level, but if you see a move to the downside and then retesting this as a level of resistance and getting that rejection, the next Fibonacci level of support is sitting at 2860, roughly speaking, and this is the 0.5 Fibonacci level. But as I have continually said over the last couple of days and even weeks, even before this pattern even broke out, and then again when it actually did break out, I said, yeah, basically a long signal for breaking out of this falling wedge pattern. So long as we are trading above this $3,100 level, Ethereum is technically still targeting $4,100 for the price of ETH. Although if you see the price trading below $3,100, then this pattern is actually invalidated and Ethereum is no longer targeting this price level. So that is important to pay attention to. And taking a look at this daily time frame for Ethereum, you can see that we have held this big level of support sitting from 35.30 all the way down to 34.30. And the next short-term level of resistance we're running into is 36.50, with above that this big level of resistance sitting from 37.50 all the way up to $3,800. Now, if you see Ethereum trading up to this level or just getting a move to the downside right now, we have this 0.618 Fibonacci level sitting at 33.30, but then below that, the next big level of support is sitting from 32.50 all the way down to 31.50 for the price of ETH. Now, lastly, taking a look at Solana on the 4-hour time frame. And as you know, if you watch my recent videos, I said Solana was oversold when it was about $142. And so far, we have seen a nice push to the upside. So if you went long there, you are probably in some nice profits. Anyways, we held this 0.236 Fibonacci level sitting at $138 and are now getting kind of close to reaching this 0.382 Fibonacci level sitting at $152. So this is a big level of resistance for Solana. And yes, you can see a rejection from there. Although if it does break through, testing it as a level of support, we are potentially heading up to this next Fibonacci level sitting at about $163. Although there are some levels of resistance in between the current price and those Fibonacci levels. So let's take a look at those right now. So as you can see on the 4-hour time frame here, Solana held this big level of support sitting from $150 all the way down to $140. Although yes, if you do see Solana trading back below $140 once again, then likely we are going to fall into this next level of support sitting from $133 all the way down to $125 for the price of Solana. Although if this push to the upside does continue here, well, the next short-term levels of resistance are sitting at $155, $160, and then again at $164, with right below that the 0.5 Fibonacci level sitting at $163. So those are some key price levels that I'm paying attention to for Solana. Although one thing I do kind of want to make clear here is that, yeah, this move to the upside has been nice and has been profitable. However, I guess we can take a look at this trend line and say that, I mean, the downtrend has technically not been broken. So even a move up to 152 can still just get a rejection down and a continuation to the downside. And yes, that move can already come well before that. So this is something to pay attention to. Although I would say if you see a break of this trend line and then holding it as a level of support, yeah, I think potentially we can see a further continuation to the upside for Solana. And yes, I know you can draw this trend line also a little bit closer to this candle body right here. But I mean, you have to understand I'm making a YouTube video here, so I have to be a little more conservative, because otherwise you could say that Solana is already breaking the downtrend at about 149. And I would rather just play it safe, because otherwise I'm going to get roasted and I'm not looking forward to that. Okay, so that's why I'm a little bit more conservative in my videos, as always. Either way, this has been today's market update. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Thank you for watching once again, and I will see you tomorrow in the next one.